It's almost the end of the year and I have just a few more projects to share with you. Today we're going to be working on this New Look pattern. So this is New Look 6292. We're going to be doing view D up here in the corner, which has a longer back, a longer tail in the back than the front. I like that tunic style. This is for my mom. She always prefers a longer back tunic. It has slightly stooped forward because she uses a walker, and she needs a little more length in her back because the walker. So it's shorter in the front, longer in the back, which is perfect. She loves the 3/4 sleeve. And this has just an opening. I'm going to be putting a zipper in that opening. It also has the option for ties, but a zipper is more functional for her, and then she can control how open that is. Open it all the way up to pull it on, and then zip it up a little bit if she wants to. So that's what we're working on today. The one thing about this though, this pattern is recommended for lightweight wovens. Let's see, it says challis, voile, chiffon, cotton lawn, something like that. I'm going to make it in a knit because, again, this is for my mom, and it's easier for her to wear. It's easier to get on and off if the fabric has a little stretch, and it's not going to make much of a difference as far as sewing. I will say, if you do choose to take a pattern like this and make it in a knit, sometimes you need to go down a size. It depends on a lot of things. This one's a very fitted through the shoulders. It's kind of got a fitted sleeve, fitted through the shoulders. It's not super roomy. So I am going to just go ahead and make this in her actual size and not size it down. But sometimes if you go from woven to knit, it almost seems too big just because the fabric has so much give. Just something to consider when you're working on this on your own. Let me show you the fabric. Now, if you saw my haul, you've seen this. This is a beautiful knit. It's all the right colors. My mom's complexion is like mine, so she looks great in all of these dark navies and so forth. It is 60 wide. This is QTFabrics is who makes this. This is designed by Suzan Engler. Get this on Etsy, I'm pretty sure. It shows up in some of your fabric shops too. You can Google it. Her name is spelled S-U-Z-A-N, but I've noticed on Etsy a lot of times they spell it S-U-S-A-N for Suzan. So you might put in both spellings. I believe it's A Flutter of Leaves. So this is the gorgeous fabric that we're going to work on. I have a multi-size pattern. I have traced off my mom's size so I could keep the integrity of the pattern so I can still have all the sizes in there. So not a lot to cutting this out. If you do like I am and go to a knit, the little placket in the front needs an interfacing, so make sure you choose a very lightweight knit interfacing to interface that placket. All right, let's cut out and head to the sewing machine. Now this is nice wide fabric, so I only have to fold it halfway to get my pattern pieces on. So here's my front and my back, and then I'm going to refold it down here just a little bit. The sleeve's just a little too wide to fit in this, so I have to fold it just a little bit over so I can get my sleeve, my placket, and the little neck band. What is it called? It is called the neck facing. So these three will be cut when I refold. Now, because I'm cutting out of knit, I do not have to put this piece on the bias. If you're cutting in a woven, make sure you turn this on the bias and cut it out. It needs it to stretch around that neckline. But it's knit, so I don't have to worry about it. It will stretch anyway. The very first thing we're going to do is put in these darts. So I'm going to transfer my dart markings and sew those in. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the zipper in the front of this neckline so that we can move on, because it's a lot easier to put a zipper in when it's just a single pattern piece and I don't have shoulders and have to sew in a tube, and I can get it flatter. Okay, so I have darts in. I do love a dart. It just really adds to the fit and makes everything look nice. But I can't sew any farther because I do not have any knit interfacing, and I need it. And I don't like my color options that I have for zippers. Both are okay, but not amazing, and I'd really love to find something if I could get some gold teeth. So I'm going to see if I can get something better. I'm going to go get some interfacing. I'll be back in a few minutes. For you, it will be the next clip. I'm all staticky from getting it out of the car and all the dry heat. I'm telling you, it does a number on the hair. So I have now interfaced with knit interfacing behind my little facing, and I've searched around the outer edges. I didn't worry about the neckline because that's going to get sewn in a minute. I added a piece of knit interfacing to the center of the shirt where the zipper is going to go, just to make it a little more stable. I did buy, they didn't have, I was at Hobby Lobby, that's the only thing I have available near me, and I just got a jean zipper. I'm hoping, I think it looks a lot better than what I had, and if I feel like I need it, I did buy an extra zipper pull if I feel like this might not be, if this might be hard for my mom to use. They had some great zipper pulls. This one's bigger with a ring on it that I may change out the zipper pull for this. I don't know. That's for down the road. I've got it just in case. It was $2, so good value as far as I'm concerned. I also got some pretty green knit that looks really great with this, so I'm going to be making myself a little something in a bit out of it. But we're ready now to interface our facing. I'm taking the packaging off of this, and I've interfaced in the center of my shirt. Now the facing, if you were going to do the way it is with the pattern, it's a very V-shaped, but because I'm going to actually insert this in behind it, I'm going to be sewing more of a U shape, more of the shape of the zipper, especially since this is a metal zipper. I'm going to sew right below the zipper stop. Just for safety reasons, it's less likely to pull apart and stretch out the knit, which is also why I interface behind there. It gives it more stability. You're less likely to have your knit pull and stretch and get a hole. So I'm going to just line up my zipper. Let's do a close-up. I'll show you at the machine. All right, so I've got my interfacing back here, and then on the right side I have just marked my center front so that I know where to cut for my zipper, because I'm actually going to cut that open to help sew that in. So I'm going to cut it, I'm going to sew a little bit, turn, and sew up the other side. I'll show you how it works. Okay, so I've cut it open. I'm always cautious. I usually cut it a little short every time, and then I actually will do a little cut as I'm sewing. But I've got wrong side down, and I'm going to stitch pretty close to the edge of my knit and close to the zipper teeth all the way down till I get to this point, and then I'm going to swing the zipper around, stitch it, swing it around, and come up. I'll show you as I'm doing it. Now I'm having to film this and sew this by myself, so I'm going to have to do this in steps, but this is how it's looking. I've got my zipper on here, and I'm going to be sewing pretty close to the teeth because I don't want a lot of the zipper tape to show. You could definitely do it so a lot of zipper tape show and make it really make it part of the design or the aesthetic of the garment. I've zipped the head down to start because the head is so large that it just would make a bump out, so I can get a nice smooth start. I'm going to stitch down for a little bit, then I'll zip it closed and finish sewing down. I'm going to sew down even with this zipper bottom because I want to be able to sew across the bottom, and this is metal teeth and I cannot sew across it. If you have a little zipper like this, you can actually sew right across these teeth. Don't do that with the metal. So I've sewed down this far. I'm ready to zip the head up, put up with the needle down. Hold this with my pinky, and then with the needle down, you can pull that zipper head up, and now I can finish stitching down with the zipper head out of the way. At the bottom, you can see I've sunk my needle right next to the zipper stopper, and I'm going to actually twist this around, and as I'm doing it, I'm just making sure that I don't get a wrinkle underneath so that I can turn my fabric, and I'm going to zip straight across right underneath that metal. I'm going to go real close to it. I might need to take one more stitch, but I'm going to go right underneath there, just to the other side, so I'm keeping the same distance, and then I'm going to zip up. And before I do that, though, I'm going to make little triangle cuts to release that corner. So if you look underneath here, this is how it looks. I'm going to come in and do a little triangle cut. I'm cutting at an angle down right through here. And I'm going to do it on both sides. You can kind of see my yellow line right here. So I'm going to cut that little yellow line on both sides just a little bit. It's just going to make it release and be smooth on the bottom. Once you've done that little cut down there, this swings nice and easy around, and we'll line up. And that little triangle that we left at the bottom, that little pyramid shape, is actually where this is going to get stitched. Just enough stitches. It's about 4 to 5 stitches. And it's really easy with the knit. The main thing is you want to make sure this is all smooth underneath. And right there's where I want to stop. So I'm going to make sure I sink my needle right there. And now this can swing up. One of the most important things when working with this is that you sink that needle. It really keeps everything in place. It makes sure that you don't, keeps you from getting a bobble or an uneven stitch. So now I can go back up the other side. And when I get close to the head, I'm going to stop and unzip it to get that big old head out of the way. Now I haven't pressed it yet, but this is how it's looking. Needs a little pressing. And on the wrong side, this is how it looks. And under here's that little tiny, it's hard to see it, but that's the little triangle right down there. It's because the blue is next to the blue. That's the little triangle at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to try and figure out how I want to put my placket in behind it. I'm kind of thinking this. Okay, so in the end I decided to just cut my placket down the middle. That matches the same as the cut here. I'm going to line them up. Wrong side zipper to right side placket facing like this, and I'm just going to stitch them down. Again, I could stitch in the old stitching line, or I can just get a little closer to the edge. Do whatever's easiest for you. It's actually easier to do the placket the way it is in the book, which is without the zipper in it, or with that is in the instructions without the zipper in it. Much easier to do. I'm going to go ahead and do both sides of the inside placket facing, and then I'll come back and finish off the bottom. I just think that's just the easiest way to do it. But you can see this is what it's going to look like on the inside. Okay, when you're going to the bottom, I've turned up everything and I've got it so you can kind of see there's the little triangle that's going to be sticking down. I make sure you pull the shirt and everything back so you're just stitching through the bottom of the zipper, the bottom of the little placket and the little triangle on both sides. That's it, and that'll give you your bottom. Make sure you're not hitting the bottom of that zipper. That would be sad. Okay, so it has us, if you follow the directions, it appears that they're telling you to sew your shoulder seams, then do your placket. I'm telling you, your life will be better if you wait to do the shoulder seams. See, it says, and then they show stay stitching in the neckline. Just work on this front piece, get your pockets on if you're doing it, get your darts in, and then do this placket, then come back and do shoulder seams. So now that I've gotten the zipper part in here, finish off the little neckline, and it's very easy. We just fold this over, and we're gonna stitch across, missing the metal teeth, missing the middle part. We're gonna stitch a little bit of this neckline up here. And if you look at the picture, here it is. See, it just shows a couple of little stitches. It's not very much, because we're gonna come back and put that little neck facing in. So we're gonna do that real quick. It's gonna look like this, and then I'm gonna come back and actually trim out this corner so I don't have all this heavy tape that's gonna get turned into here, but I don't even have to worry about it for now. I'm just gonna leave it. When we come back to add our little neck trim piece, it's also gonna get stitched in this area and it'll all get flipped around. So now I'm ready for shoulder seams. Right sides together, I'm just serging my shoulder seams up. All right, we have shoulder seams. We've sewn our little neckline facing, and now we're going to take our neckline placket piece. Now we're going to take the little facing and we're going to fold it in half, wrong sides together. You don't have to worry about finishing off this edge because it's going to get caught up inside here and taken care of. So we're going to fold this in half. It does have markings that make it easier for you. It'll have like shoulder seam marking and center back marking, which will help you line everything up. But we're going to pin that in. Now, whether you're working with a woven or a knit, the little facing piece should be a tiny bit smaller than the neckline it's going into. There should be a little bit of stretch. If it's woven, you've got bias to stretch. If you're working with knit, well, it'll do it on its own. And then I'm going to just serge this together. You could come in and straight stitch it first and then serge it, but because I'm working with knit, I'm just going to serge this on. So from the inside, here's my serged and turned down. So now I'm going to come along and top stitch. I'm going to put a few pins in it to make it flat, make sure that we don't see that little thing sticking up. And I'm just going to go around and do a little top stitch all around the neckline to make it flat and pretty. That's how it's looking top stitched. Okay, so we have got sorry. We've got a little zipper in the front. We've got our darts in. I've got my neck placket in. It's still wanting to roll up in the back a little bit, but I think on the body it won't do that, I'm hoping. So we could, because I'm doing this in knit, we could do the flat method of the sleeve, but I have chosen to do the view that has, it's longer in the back than the front. See how much longer my back is? And because of that, I can't just serge down that seam because I have to actually be able to fold and do some hemming in this seam at the side seam. So I'm going to serge independently the front and back along the side seam, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my side seam with a straight stitch at the sewing machine so that I can fold back and finish off the hemming to get that uneven, or the high-low, the front shorter than the back, hem for the tunic, which will be pretty. So I'm going to just serge that real quick, sew in the side seam so we can set in our sleeve. It is a set-in sleeve. Because I'm doing the knit, I'm not real worried about doing all of the extra stitching and stuff to set it in. I think it's going to go in really easy. It doesn't have any gathers, so hopefully it will go in easily no matter what fabric you're choosing. I have side seams. I've serged the outer edge and I've straight stitched it, and I've left it open where I want it for the little vented side and made sure I got them even on both sides. So now I'm going to take my sleeves and I'm just going to serge this underarm seam on both of them. Make sure you have marked your shoulder and your front and back so you don't get them backwards. I'm also going to go ahead and serge around the hem of it too, just so that it's all taken care of. And then I will be ready to set those sleeves in, and I will serge that too. So I'm going to go ahead and get the sleeve put together, and then I'll show you pinning and sewing in the sleeve. All right, here is my little sleeve pinned in. I'm just going to serge around, and both sleeves will be in, and we're ready for hemming. After the sleeves are in though, I'm going to stop and make dinner. I'll be back. It'll probably be dark by the time I'm back for hemming in a bit. Make sure that you have this seam pressed open, the side seam of the shirt is pressed open, because we need that to fix the hem at the bottom. So make sure you don't get this pushed to one side or the other when you're putting in the sleeve. Okay, I will be back after dinner. I'll try and remember to fix my hair. I'm kind of falling apart here. See you in a bit. I'm back. It's time to hem. It's dark outside. So I'm at the side seam. This is going to get pressed open. You can see they're two different lengths. And what you want to do is you want to hem this part first. So press up and hem on each of these. And then you'll come back and hem this so that the side, see at the side how pretty that looks? If you don't do it that way, if you do this first and then pull this up, it's going to look like this at the side. That's never as attractive. So, or you can do a mitered corner down here. I've shown that before on a video. I'm just going to hem straight across, come back and do the little side vent, and then hem the sleeve. The sleeve's going to get the same treatment, just turned up and hemmed all the way around, and then our shirt is done. Here's the finished little top. I think my mama will really enjoy wearing that. It's got the zipper to make it easier to get in and out of it, and she can close up the neck if she wants to. I'll show you the little side vent down here. And then I don't know if you can see it because it's just dark, but I did a little point at the side that also helps just keep that seam flat. And I like the tunic where it's higher in the front and longer in the back. I just think that looks really cute. So there's a fun little top for Mom. I forgot to really lean into why I was doing the zipper, but I'm trying to make this a more accessible garment for my mom, so it's easier for her to get in and out of on her own without any assistance, and that's why I'm putting the zipper in, choosing knit over woven. Both of those things make it just a little bit easier for somebody who has some mobility issues and still can get into their clothes on their own. See you next week for another fun video.